Hey, welcome to Today in Prophecy. News, daily news in 15 minutes or less. Listen, again, there's so many things going on. We'll get to Israel in just a minute, but let's start with this first of all. Inside Worldcoin's Orb Factory, audacious and absurd defender of humanity, the startup co-founded by Sam Altman is determined to verify every human on Earth one iris at a time. I want you to think of that, one iris at a time. That's your eyeball. Every human on Earth. The picturesque center of Nuremberg, Germany doesn't usually have much going on in the way of high-tech flair. It has a castle, as well as cathedrals, placards, celebrating bratwurst and seemingly endless rows of ice cream shops for tourists. On a weekday in mid-May, however, the city hosted some serious geek peacocking for those who are paying close attention. And this is what they are saying we are going to do. We are going to identify every human on Earth. We're going to have them put into a book, or we're going to have them put into a database for everybody. Now, this screams of Revelation chapter 13. Everybody will be marked on the right hand or on their forehead. Could the eyeball be considered forehead? That's open to debate. But regardless, we do see that the identification, the data, the tech ability to do these types of things, to fulfill Bible prophecy, it's here, but it's only going to increase. And if we understand it in the right perspective, we know that the infrastructure of the global beast system must be in place before Antichrist is given his power to rule for 7 years. We are watching the infrastructure being built, friends. That's what we are seeing with something like this. Again, we think of this, one iris at a time. Every single person is going to be in this database. So we already know there's cameras all over. We're being watched. Face identification. People think they're getting away from facial identification. No, you're not. It is here, and according to the Bible, marked on the right hand or on the forehead. So the technology is here. How it's going to be exactly on the right hand or forehead, we don't know for sure yet. But it's here, folks. When you see this type of thing, you start thinking they're marching toward this beast system. It is being built. We are experiencing it. That's why we're seeing the things that we are seeing. All right, let's take a look over at immigration for just a second. Take a look at this. A couple of things just to look about. Look at these different numbers here. In 2024, the U.S. Border Patrol found illegal immigrants from countries that pose national security risks. Immigration judges granted bond to at least 27 aliens on the terrorist watch list. Oh, and then let me read this last one. I want to come back to this too. This includes 2,134 Afghans, 33,347 Chinese, 541 Iranians, 520 Syrians, 3,104 people from Uzbekistan. So you look at this, and then I want you to look at the middle one, 27 aliens on the terror watch list, granted bond to at least 27 of them. How many are actually in the United States? We don't know. Thousands upon thousands. I've heard 2,100 Iranian operatives are here in the United States that are trained killers to bring about terrorist attacks. So you have these types of things that are here. We have a blown out southern border. You have the cartels that are benefiting from that. We have sex trafficking. We have all kinds of bad stuff. The border's completely blown out. It's destructive to the economy. So you have that aspect of it. It's destructive to people's lives. This isn't about legal immigration. These things are happening illegal. And the government seems to be not just complicit in this, but actually involved in making sure it happens. And then you have Tulsi Gabbard, who's on the terror watch list. With TSA, it was discovered. Tulsi Gabbard. While these people just go around our country. What's that tell you? You watch what's going on over in the UK. What does that tell you? Who are as far as they can see, the real terrorists? They're using the real terrorists to cause the chaos, to bring destruction and lawlessness, so that the people, there'll be so much lawlessness, people will finally come out and say, big government, save us. And they're using us and they're saying that we are the terrorists, so they can lock us up, they can seal us off, they can put us away, they can single us out, they can marginalize us. You can be cut off from being able to get the truth out there. So they're marginalizing all the people that are warning about what's going on, and they're using the real evil people to destroy everything. All of this is about them seizing their power. That's what's going on. All of this is about them seizing their power. Okay, check this out. Also in New Zealand, it's reported that people are leaving New Zealand record numbers as the economy bites. But I want to say this, as you read it, you find out there's still more people going into New Zealand than leaving. And you also, when you discover that really when you start looking at it, it's not so much about New Zealand. I think that the title is there from Reuters to grab your attention. But when you start looking at it, no, the bigger problem is not New Zealand. It's not even New Zealand's economy. It is there is a major economy with the world. And I've said this many times that the petrodollar is tied into almost everything. I think it's 95% of the world the petrodollar affects one way or another, maybe even 97%. That's the US dollar, the petrodollar. So it does. So when if the U.S. economy goes, everything is going to go. Everything is tied in together. But you start looking at the Chinese economy. China's in a lot of trouble. So listen, New Zealand is just a small little snippet, but what's going on out there outside of New Zealand is actually much greater. And people are still going to New Zealand also, by the way, because of what's going on in other countries. So because of that, people go to New Zealand. So it's understanding the bigger picture. As I said last week during one of these daily updates, that the massive economic crash will happen in Revelation chapter 6 at the time of the rider of the black horse. It seems to me that everything's building up to it, right? Just like earthquakes and pestilences, everything is building up and building up and building up and building up. In fact, I think I'll do a Tom Hughes report on that in a couple of weeks. But everything's building up. The pressure's building. This whole thing's getting bigger and bigger. The economic problem is getting bigger and bigger. The lawlessness is getting bigger and bigger. I personally think these globalists are manipulating the economy the way they want it, because when everything gets destroyed, people lose everything. Guess who acquires everything? The rich people at the top. That's right. The super elite. They're going to acquire everything. When Klaus Schwab says you'll own nothing and be happy, that's because somebody's going to own it. Guess what? So you crash everything. So eventually that's going to come with the economy. The lawlessness is going to get worse. Evil men will wax worse and worse. 2 Timothy chapter 3, deceiving and being deceived. But the lawlessness will wax worse and worse too, because there's more lawlessness and chaos there is, the more power these people get. So I believe that's what's really going on. Let's go over to Israel. Fearing an Iranian attack, Israeli museums move masterpieces to stores. The move is part of a broader effort to safeguard significant cultural assets amidst the rising terrorist tensions with Iran. You look at that, that's a picture of at the Israeli museum where you have the Shrine of the Book. The Dead Sea Scrolls are in there. Some people say they're not actually in there. You know, I've had different Israeli friends that have told me different things about that. With Yad Vashem, for example, another place I'm sure terrorists would love to hit. Certain things that are absolutely irreplaceable, that are necessary for Israel, are hidden away in other places. But seeing things move away, it makes a lot of sense because Israel is always under the threat. I would imagine Iran would love to hit the Shrine of the Book, would love to hit somewhere like Yad Vashem with a missile if they could. But boy, you look at these things and the tension is only increasing. Iranian officials say only Gaza's ceasefire can delay Iran's attack on Israel. Wow, so what's going on with this? Let's read it. Iranian officials. Iran, along with allies such as Hezbollah, said it would launch a direct attack if the Gaza talks fail or it perceives Israel is dragging out negotiations. Okay, this goes back to what we were talking about a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago. Amos Hochstein, who is He's an Israeli, but he's really working as a liaison for the Biden administration, and he works with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and he approached the Israeli government, according to Caroline Glick. He approached the Israeli government and he said, hey, the rockets from Hezbollah will stop. In other words, in other words, we can tell Hezbollah what to do. The U.S. can. The rockets from Hezbollah will stop if you pull out of Gaza. You might even get your hostages back. The implications from that is staggering and awful. It implies that the U.S. has control over the situation with Hezbollah, and they can say no more rockets or more rockets. And you start to get the impression, especially after reading that article, same thing with Iran. Interesting. You pull out of Gaza, then we won't do anything. So Gaza is now seems to be used by Iran and by the U.S. This is devastating to the U.S., I believe. It won't be devastating to Israel. Israel will survive. But God says, I will come against all those who seek to divide the land of Israel, divide my land. He also says, I'll bless those who bless thee, I'll curse those who curse thee. Looks like America's in the cursing Israel business right now. Not good. Not good at all. Check this out. Canada strips 2 pro-Israel charities of tax-free status, including flagship JNF. So what is that about? Why would Canada do something like that? Well, Justin Trudeau's there in Canada. Rare move comes after anti-Zionist Jewish group complained repeatedly about group's donations to IDF bases. JNF says tax authority refused to enter into a dialogue with us. Isn't this, I mean, you look at it, that's the JNF is the Jewish National Fund. So you look at this, okay, these things are going on in Canada. I would say same thing to Canada as the U.S. It says, I'll bless those who bless thee, I'll curse those who curse thee. Doesn't look good right now. And fears are continuing to grow of Iranian attack on Israel as Tehran laughs off West's plea to keep cool. Okay, as we look at this, well, so we see these different dynamics coming out of the U.S. On the one hand, they seem to be signaling that they're in control. They keep Hezbollah from firing rockets. Then they move a submarine over to the area of the Mediterranean, threatening Iran. Hey, you better chill out. Iran is saying we aren't worried about the threats from the U.S. Well, I imagine as long as Captain Kamala and Ice Cream Joe are involved, why would they have to worry about anything? But the tensions are there. They're continuing to grow. We're going to look at them. We have now officially passed the 9th of Av. Originally, Iran said we're going to do this on the 9th of Av. Israel is on super high alert. Ezekiel 38 doesn't come until Israel is not on alert. The Ezekiel 38 attack happens when it's a surprise attack. So Ezekiel 38 is not what is being built up to right now. Everybody in the world is on alert. Is it going to be World War III? I'm thinking if the U.S. is serious about the submarine with Iran, it's because the U.S. goes, we cannot lose control of this. We've got control of Hezbollah. They're doing our bidding. They're trying to, we've already discovered, the U.S. is involved with the attempt to overthrow of the Netanyahu government. So we understand some of those things. I've already talked about those things that have come out with President Raisi, who was killed in a helicopter in the U.S. Administration. So we see these things. So it's like the U.S. is involved wanting to throw over Israel. This is the way I see it. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. And at the same time, they're flexing some muscle perhaps because they don't want to lose control of everything going on over in the Mideast. Listen, join me tomorrow for Today in Prophecy. God bless you guys. And also the Tom Hughes Report is coming today too. God bless.